Here's how you get a professional recording using UAD's console. I'm going to show you right now. What's up, y'all? My name is Kurt, aka Vandal, and we are in here in the studio. And on this channel, we do tips, tricks, tutorials, all those things to help you become a better producer in today's marketplace. When I'm talking about vocal processing, there's a few ways you can do this. And now I know that everybody doesn't have the availability or the option to even use something like a UAD thing, or maybe that's a dream for y'all. And this is what I'll say. When I first started out, I was using a Focusrite interface and I was getting the best recordings I possibly can. And it's really never about the gear that you're using, but always about how you use the tools. But what I will say is that using the tools that we have at our disposal with the UAD line of plugins and interfaces and all that stuff does make things easier. I'm using a UAD Apollo Twin. I'm using an Apollo Twin actually, and I also have an X8. So those are the interfaces that I actually own, and those are the things that I use. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a full breakdown of my studio, so I could show you a studio tour of my studio. Let me know in the comments below if you want to do that. And also throw a like on there for the algorithm. One of the things that I think is really important is having the right tools for the job. I feel in my experience, after using UAD, after using Focusrite, after using the even the M boxes and all of that stuff, if you're an old school head like me, you've used M boxes and other interfaces, and even the cheap ones as well, super cheap ones. After using those, I realized that, man, the actual interface matters. One of the cool things with the UAD Apollo line of things is you get the access to the console. Now, I know that you have the UAD Spark and all of this stuff, so you can do it in other ways, but I'm going to show you the way that I've been doing it and that I found success in actually recording good vocals. If you take a look at the screen here, I have UAD console actually opened up. You can see there's several channel strips. There's some things here. We have all these inputs. This is all because I have the Apollo X8, and actually my voice right now is coming in right over here on this channel. You can see it's actually not even that loud either, so we could probably turn this up if we wanted to, but this is where my voice is coming in. And as you can see, there's a channel strip. So now there's a couple of things with UAD console. You can actually record with all of these effects on, or just monitor. If you go ahead and look over at this section right here, the insert effects section, you could do just monitoring with it, and you could just listen to it, or you could switch it over and this is what's going to record into your DAW. Microphone, interface, UAD console, then your DAW, if that makes sense. Okay. So if we dive into this channel strip here, I have this as a preset thing. I saved it as Vandal Vox 2, and there's even a folder with some other chains in there that I know are really good. One of my favorite things is making sure that my setup and all of these things is really efficient. So I'm all about making sure that I can create really fast and really quick. So if I can just set up a vocal chain that I know sounds good off rip with this microphone or with another microphone, then I'm gonna do that. The quicker you are in the studio, the more you're actually able to put all that energy and time toward creative thinking and creative stuff. So you want to be really quick, get the technical stuff out of the way, and dial it in before, so that when you sit down and write, or you're writing with someone else, that you could just pull it up and it just sounds good and you're good to go. Back in the day, I got the chance to intern at Quad Recording Studios in Times Square. It was actually really dope. And in a big studio, usually what you're going to do is plug the microphone in. The microphone's going to go through some rack gear, and it's going to go through a preamp or a compressor of some kind, and then come into the DAW. Essentially, that is what this is doing. You're running it through some preamps, you're running it through compressor, EQ, whatever, those kinds of things, to have a better mix in the recording. This is not an uncommon practice to do this before you record. So let's talk about what's on the channel strip actually. So on the UAD interfaces, we have a unison preamp, which actually is a really incredible modeling technology to be able to get the tones and get the actual sounds that you want. And on here we have this right here, this what is this, a Century kind of preamp. It's a tube emulated preamp, so the software is really good. So now we have the ability to do some low end boosting, top end reducing. Sometimes I'll go and get a little bit of air out of this. But one big reason why I use this is because of this low and high tube preamp. The SM7B is a quiet microphone. If I switch this to low, you'll hear how quiet this is. But if I pop it to high, it actually boosts the signal because this microphone is quiet. So nowadays you have the SM7DB, which actually has a preamp in it, so you don't have to worry about that. So I have this kind of doing a little bit of compression. If needed, I can like boost this up and get some compression going, but don't really need it. I have it in just in case, and I have like barely a little bit of boost here, but really I'm using it for this high gain for getting the mic loud enough. So the next thing that I have is an EQ. It's like an EQ kind of channel strip type of thing that comes with the UAD interfaces. Now that's the cool thing about the UAD interfaces. It comes with plugins and all of these things to be able to get you started on what you need to do. And you don't have to pay for them. They're really high quality and they're really good. And I haven't actually bought any other UAD plugins. You can kind of see what I'm doing here. Just a little bit of bump in the low mids here. Kind of like I think 190 hertz, just to get a little bit more body back in my voice. And then I'm also doing a bump in the top end using a shelf EQ, just a little bit at 10K, just to get some air out of here. Now this is what it sounds like without it. This is what my voice sounds like without this here. And then if I pop this in, you can tell there's a little bit more of that air in that. Now this is what I use to record like my vocals when I'm singing and rapping and whatever else. This is what I use. And then the next thing is I have another EQ, kind of like a Pultec EQ, kind of working through and getting a little bit more of that air as well. Check this out. So we're doing a little bit of a boost, a 1 dB boost at 16K, and then also a 3 dB boost at 100. So if I take that out, you can tell that it's just a little thin. So I'm boosting that low mid to get that back in, that 100 hertz, get a little bit more boost in there. And then I'm running it through the LA2A. This is actually how I want to hear my voice, with some compression, and there we go. So now usually I have this just kind of set on. So that's the setup, that's the vocal chain. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. If you don't have these tools, you can still do this after the fact. And the big thing that I would recommend is getting a good interface to record with, because the interface does matter. So if you can get a used Apollo Twin, go ahead and do it. I got my stuff used. I don't buy stuff brand new, usually. I got that used. So go ahead and look for used Apollo Twins or used Apollo X8s and all of these kinds of things, and you'll be able to actually record with the Apollo line, or you can look into the Spark line of things and go from there. But that is my tips. Those are my tips on vocal recording. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. Leave a comment below if you want to see a